So, welcome to tonight's webinar, where I basically want to just maybe give you some advice on how you need to study SPL. I had a little bit of a pre-chat with some of the attendees. One is literally come out of university, has not probably studied any ACCA exams before, and has lots of exemptions. Would that be correct?
Yeah, that's it. Literally, pretty much all of them apart from the last
Okay.
four.
Okay. So if you are coming to ACCA to do the professional exams for the first time, one thing I'd say is ACCA is very, very different, all of the exams at the strategic professional level, to what you would do at university. You would normally at university have a pretty good idea of what questions you're going to get. Yep. Whereas it's not so easy on a professional level exam. And I think, they're a pretty high standard, the ACCA exams. That's why you can earn a lot of money if you're ACCA qualified, much more money than you can if you've just got a accounting degree, for argument's sake. So be aware, it does require a lot of effort. It requires a lot of dedication, a lot of organization, and yeah, I think guidance as well. So that will be the first message, just to tailor it to someone in the audience here tonight. In terms of me, my name's Sean Purcell. I've been involved working with the ACCA on case study exams for 25 plus years. I've written the training for all the tutors who taught SPL right from the beginning on behalf of ACCA, and I help try and improve pass rates on behalf of the ACCA, sometimes when they are low in certain parts of the world. So I'm just saying that because there's an awful lot of people on Facebook and goodness knows where who seem to know a lot about SPL, but I would just suggest to put their name into the ACCA website, see how many articles, see how many videos, put it into the ACCA YouTube channel, see whether the ACCA have actually used them to do anything. And I don't think you'll find that they have. So draw your own conclusion whether you think those people are worth listening to. Maybe pop my name in and see how much comes up. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of confidence. So there's just a lot of fake news out there. So in terms of what we have signed up for, I'll be as quick as possible. Some tips to pass SPL. Yep, I kind of made a brief overview of what I might cover. First is why you need a very different approach to SPL compared to other strategic professional exams. Obviously, if you've not taken any strategic professional exams at all, it's probably all new to you, but it is a bit different to what you would have done before. Maybe you're thinking of doing it in December. Okay, I'll deal with whether you can do it in December or you need to wait till March. You may be also aware of changes in the September 2023 exam. I'll talk about that. And what does a successful student do to pass SPL? So that is the agenda. If you want me to deal with anything else, I have had a few questions from people who are driving home from work or on a different time zone, and I've included them in the presentation. But if you have any more questions, just pop them in the chat box and I'll deal with them at an appropriate time. Okay, so let's talk about Strategic Business Leader. What is it all about? Well, I think it's important to understand the background, the rationale to Strategic Business Leader, and maybe the reasons why it has been introduced. And that will hopefully help you a bit. So basically, it describes it as an integrated exam where we behave as a strategic leader. So what that means is we have to kind of connect information and draw conclusions as we would do if we were a leader. We're supposed to behave like we would in the workplace. So in the workplace, we wouldn't be quoting academic theories. We wouldn't be drolling on and regurgitating stuff. We'd be applying it. We'd be practical in how we use the information using role play. Think about how you behave in the workplace is what it's about. Yeah, that's not my words. That is the words of the examining team who are behind the SPL exam. So appreciate that. What else do I want to quickly say about it? Well, I think also we should appreciate when looking at strategic business leader. Just let me bring that on. Why has it been introduced? What is the reason for it? And basically, what has happened is, as you're probably aware, the world is changing. We do not need accountants who can regurgitate loads of technical facts. A machine can do that. Yeah, we use AI to do all of that. But what AI has not been very good at is kind of linking, connecting, empathizing. And the accountant of the future, and also I can say this with reasonable confidence because I've written a lot of the CPD on business partnering, which is the traits needed of an accountant in the future. Basically, IT is going to do a lot of the donkey work, which you previously would have had to have done as an accountant, but can now be done by machines. And in the future, you're going to need new capabilities, which are going to be required, which are practical, business relevant. And that's kind of what Strategic Business Leader has been introduced to deal with. ACCA are in touch with industry and the profession all the time. They kind of want to make sure they remain relevant. Industry and the profession have told them finance of the future has to have some different skills to what they had in the past. And SBL is a starting point for you to develop those skills. Yeah. So again, just keep understanding what I'm talking about here. SBL is a practical role play, workplace related exam. Yep. You could take all your books into the exam. If you didn't adopt the correct approach, you'd fail. Okay. So I don't mean to sound too dramatic there, but you would. This is the explanation of what would be required to be understood. So obviously there's a syllabus which guides the knowledge you have to acquire. But as I say, you don't need to learn this stuff, you need to understand it, but it does break it down. My advice would be, if you're preparing, would be to, however you're looking at it, what I do, I create videos on each of these areas. So I've created 90 plus videos where I explain the essence of what you need. I explain the catalysts that are required to deal with questions in these areas. And then I do some past exam questions to show you how you get from the question to the answer in a realistic way. So if you're studying this with whoever, you should be making your own summary notes of each of these areas, of the key things that are relevant, that are going to use as catalysts to help you develop answers. So the white boxes are what the syllabus looks at. The red boxes are what are known as professional skills marks. So this just highlights or flags up key things that you need to demonstrate. So skepticism is a good example, where an accountant in the future is not someone that just takes things at face value, but challenges, probes, questions, and doesn't kind of take things at face value. And those would be skills you need to show and come across in your exam answers. Yep. So that's what it's looking at. In terms of the exam, you'll get some pre-seen material from September 2023. They've slightly rechanged the format. 2 weeks before the exam, you'll get some pre-seen material. You then sit the exam 2 weeks later, more material is given, and yeah, that's how it works. What does the exam look like? It's 3 hours, 15 minutes. If you took SBL maybe a year or more ago, or before September 23 even, you would have known it was a 4-hour exam. It is 3.25 now. What else do we need to know? There's 80 technical marks, 20 professional marks. We only need 50 to pass, and all the questions are based on the same scenario. And really, the key thing is to use your technical awareness as a brainstorm, as a catalyst, to then help develop a structured answer which comes in on all the marks. Okay, so that's the exam, just in a nutshell. What about the pre-seen material? Well, there's a lot of fuss made about the pre-seen material. 2 weeks before the exam, as I say, a lot of people were all over the pre-seen material, thinking it was going to give lots of clues for the exam. Well, what I would say to you is, have a look on my YouTube channel. I recorded a full analysis of the pre-seen material. Rather than say, oh, it mentions that, you're going to get a question on this, I said, what is the company? How does it base its business model? What would be challenges to that business model? And we went through all of this in a lot of detail. If you then, so you can see that was fully recorded, it's all on YouTube, you can watch it. That was done before the exam, and then I did a post-exam review on the day of the exam. So there's not just one exam, there's multiple variants because it's taken all over the world. Watch the YouTube recording of that and see how much from the pre-scene analysis which I did was so useful to passing the exam. And most students who didn't even do a course with me were very grateful. Those that did do a course actually did mock exams on those specific areas, and are very confident that they're going to pass the exam, and hopefully they are. But the pre-scene material is there to make sure you're familiar with the industry, make sure you're familiar with the terminologies. But if you've got an understanding about what the business is, or what does it exist and what is challenging to its existence, and you think about that, I think it also gives a lot of information which is very useful on the exam day. Yeah, so that's the pre-scene material. In the exam, you get more exhibits, you have 3 tasks, you get the pre-scene material, but not your annotated version, you get fresh stuff. So that's it. That's what it looks like. It's very practical. It's very different if you've been through, financial management and, financial accounting papers. This is very, very different and requires a very different approach. Okay, so hopefully that's the exam. Be aware that you shouldn't be scared off by the kind of tools that are going to be used. You're going to be asked to, write an email, a memo, a report, slides, the slide functionality in the presentation on the CBE platform. Again, I'll mention the CBE platform again, but it's really important that you practice doing questions on the CBE platform, the ACCA CBE platform, to get familiarity. There are tuition providers who choose not to do it. It is a bit clunky, and some people, there's all different kinds of software, Rogo, even Excel and Word. The exam is on the ACCA CBE platform. I go through a lot of pain to put my exams on the CBE platform because that is what the exam is. If you don't do it, it's a bit like practicing for your driving test in a car on a motorbike. Yeah, would you do that? I don't think you would. Yeah. So yeah, these are the kind of things that you get. These are all also replicated in the actual exhibits you get, a newspaper article, a chairman's statement, a risk register, all are potential things you will get in your exam. Okay. So how is it really different? As I've said, it's the rationale on which it's based. Other exams are much more technical. The SBL exam is much more practical. The relevance of technical knowledge going forward is less so because machines can do all of that. Machines are not very good at assimilating information and drawing conclusions from it, but they're brilliant at doing very complex calculations. So that's the difference. It's the application of technical knowledge in the context of being a leader, in the context of the workplace, and making sure you acknowledge when it asks for professional skills marks, what you need to do. Okay, and if you learn theory, you're wasting your time. I've had people come to me who've actually won prizes in tax and in advanced financial management, and then they've taken SBL and they've failed it because they haven't been taught how to deal with the exam properly. So I'll taken them on, taught them how to deal with it properly, and they've dealt with it. But really important, if you want more information on it, again, have a look, go on to ACCA Student Accountant, put my name into the ACCA Student Accountant, and there's a lot of articles on exam preparation, on motivation, and all of that. So there's lots of detail there that you can look at. So have a read of my articles on exam preparation. Have a look at other ACCA resources which are written in business English, the Accounting and Business magazine. Have a look at the ethics code and conduct the ACCA publishes. Have a look at professional insights section of the website. All of this is really useful. Yep. So here's some examples of some professional insights reports. We need to understand cybersecurity. We need to understand what's happening in the future of finance, how the CFO is changing. You just need to have perspective on these things. You don't need to go and learn all these articles, but you need to understand the direction of travel so you can pass intelligent comments on what you might be going on in a scenario. Okay, so they are key things. And the other thing, if you're doing it in December and you haven't done the ethics and professional skills module, please do that. It's really useful. Yeah, it's really useful because it conditions you to think in the way you need to think on SPL. There are various exercises. I don't say you have to do it before you attempt SPL, but I think it's very good if you're starting SPL for December to be doing that alongside SPL. It is really helpful and will make your life much easier. Yep, there's no exams involved. Just follow the kind of course. It's an online course. Some of you might say, oh, wasn't it closed? There was a technical issue, but I believe that's all been resolved and you can jump on it. Unfortunately, the ACCA are going to charge you money, but you have to do it to become a qualified accountant. So if you've got to pay for it, you might as well use it, to help you pass another exam. So the other question I would deal with that a few people have asked me is, should I take the exam in December 23 or March 24? Well, that's up to you, and it depends if you're getting married, if you're going on a trip to Australia for a month, and you've got limited time between now and December 23, maybe leave it till March 24. But there is no reason, if you adopt a structured approach to study, probably get some help. I mean, I don't really understand people that don't try and get help. When I did exams, I definitely needed help or I would have failed them. It certainly makes your life much easier. I think the key thing you need to consider is, how quick do you want to double or triple your salary? Because accountants that qualify within 2 to 5 years of qualifying can easily double, often triple their salaries. So do you just want to wait forever for that, or do you want that to happen? And I think those of us procrastinating, those of us, oh, should I study? Ooh, maybe not yet. It's up to you, but if you read one of my student accountant articles, it talks about this. I've also recorded a podcast, Why Are You Doing This? Have a listen to my podcast. It's on Spotify. Why are you doing the exam? And I think it's really important to have that conversation with yourself to get yourself motivated to maybe make a few little sacrifices over the next few weeks and months to get this exam out of the way. It's definitely able to be got out of the way in December 23 if you get yourself properly organized, and I would suggest get some help to make it easier. Yep. March 24 is fine. I think sometimes if you were doing a very technical exam with lots to learn, maybe like tax, you might want to take a bit longer. But SPL, once you've got it, and hopefully, through my videos, you'll get it, hopefully is an easier approach. Yep. The next question was, how big were the challenges and changes in September 2023? As I said, a lot of people made a lot about it. Well, I did a whole kind of YouTube, I did a few videos on that saying it's not a big deal. It's actually done to help maybe people who don't have English as a first language, who could be discriminated against reading a 12-page exam and 4-hour exam. It's not a big deal. Same examining team, same syllabus. But watch the video on it. Go onto my YouTube channel, ACCA Sean Purcell SPL. Have a look there, and you'll get all the answers. So that is SPL. That is why you need to get on with it if you're not already getting on with it. Yeah, you have a golden opportunity to make a big difference to your life. Yep. All you need to do is pass a few little exams, which if you get the right guidance and you put in the right amount of work, you will pass no problem. Yep. And if you do that, if you did one every quarter, if you've got 4 to do, someone has got 4 to do, just starting SPL, it's all done in a year. And then you're a qualified accountant and you can double or triple your salary in the next 2 to 5 years. If somebody said that to me today, I would absolutely grab them. I would walk over broken glass to get the information to get me through exams, which just doing a bit of work, I double or triple my salary. That's a very realistic, and some can earn a lot more, but that's a very realistic expectation. Yeah. When I qualified, I actually tripled my salary by coming down to London. So I qualified as an accountant in the north and I got a job in London. I tripled my salary without actually finishing my 3 years of experience. So, that's true. And so we can all get, and then after that, it went up a lot more. So yeah, it's there for the taking. Please, please take it. So in the chat box, I can't see any questions, but if anyone, I do have some from other people, but if anyone wants to come off mic and ask any questions on anything I've just said, I would be more than happy to try and answer them for you. I know some of you might be in the car. Let me just check I'm not missing it. Everybody's cool with what's been said so far? Okay. As I say, I will be led by you. I won't waste your time unnecessarily. Okay, so a couple of questions I had was, you do a platinum course. What is it? And do I need to do one? Hey, I do. I've written one based on many years working with the ACCA. I was one of the founding shareholders of Kaplan. What does it include? I record over 90 videos. They help you understand and get it. They're not, I try to keep them less than half an hour. I do marked homeworks, but I don't just say, oh, 40%, 50%. I give lots of feedback on what you're doing well, what you need to improve upon, which I think is really valuable. That's what you need. It's the feedback, not the mark. I do 3 fully timed mocks on the ACCA CBE platform, and they're marked by real ACCA SBL markers. Yeah. So that's very valuable. And they're not just marked. You get lots and lots of comments like you do for the homework. People contact me 24/7 via WhatsApp right up until the day of the exam. It's not, it's not you just see me at the weekend or whatever. I was speaking to people at 10 o'clock last night, which was a Sunday. If I'm awake and my phone's battery's not dead, I'm chatting. And the other thing I do is I give a full pass assurance if you do my platinum course, and you can do everything again, all the homeworks, all the mocks, which will be new mocks, just in case you have a bad day. That comes with some conditions. Basically, if you don't do the homeworks, if you don't do the mocks, and if you don't engage with the course, I won't give you pass assurance. And the reason for that is, through experience, people who don't do the homeworks and don't do the mocks have a less likely chance of passing, but those that do have a very high chance of passing, and I don't need to give them pass assurance because they all pass. Yeah, it's a kind of a no-brainer if you do the course the way I've set it out, that you'll pass. Yep. So, if you're doing a course with someone else, just maybe set yourself those similar targets that I set my students who do courses with me. Hassle the hell out of your tutor. And I would say it's a fool's economy saying, oh, I'm going to, so say you're earning, I don't know, £25,000 as a trainee accountant in London, and in a year's time you could easily earn 60, but I'm not going to pay. So I'm going to go from 25,000 to 60. Quite realistically, I'm going to increase my salary by 35,000, but I'm not going to pay £500 for a course. Okay, well, that's up to you. I'll leave you to work that one out. You've got to be crazy, but again, that is up to you. I try and help my students out by giving them stage payments and easy payment plans if things are too expensive. But, whatever you're doing, get some help, get there as quickly as possible. Okay, so that was the first question someone wanted me to expand on. How do mocks work? I think I've kind of explained this. I will create 3 never seen before mocks. A final one will use the December 2023 pre-C material. So remember, that comes out 2 weeks before the exam. Yeah. I then don't go to sleep for 3 days. I create a mock that is based on the pre-C material, and then you do that on the ACE. Nobody does that, but that's what I do because I think that's great preparation. What else? It's done on the CBE platform. Anything else? Well, it's not just marked. All the mocks are not just marked. They get lots of feedback and comments from actual markers. They're the people that are marking your exam. That's why I get them to mark mocks. Okay, so that's how mocks work. What other questions did people say? Oh yeah, I'll give video debriefs on all the mocks. And when I did video debrief, I won't just say this is the answer. I'll say you could have done this and you would have got marks for that. But equally, had you done this and said this, you would have got marks for that. So there are multiple ways often to answer SPL questions, and I explain how marks will be awarded if you did it. So I kind of give you the catalysts from which to start to show you the various roads which you should go down. I do that in a video debrief. I also do a Zoom chat. Oh, I do realistic answers. So ACCA answers, please don't think they are an expectation of what a student should do. They're, in the small print, they say they're not, by the ACCA say they're not, and they have a tutorial purpose, but they can often be off-putting. People think, oh my goodness, do I have to do all of that? No, you don't. So I create realistic answers which a student could do who would get a good pass to all of my mocks. I also have a chat on Zoom as a group about where people went wrong and if people have got any more questions, but people are going to question me through WhatsApp. And that was another question people asked of me. How do I contact me if I've got a problem? Well, contact me 24/7 on WhatsApp. If I'm awake, I'll reply to you. If I'm asleep, I'll reply to you when I wake up. Yeah. So yeah, you can't say fairer than that. That's what I want, and that will be right up to the exam day. And actually, I have helped students on the exam day who've had technical issues, and I've told them how to kind of deal with it and reapply, and they've managed to take the exam. So if you read feedback, you'll see a lot of students will back me up on that. We also have Zoom post mock chat groups. So there's 3 mocks. We have a good old chin wag on Zoom about those things. So they are some pre-webinar questions which I had. I still haven't got, have I got any more questions? Just have a look in the chat box. I don't think I have. No, so that's fine. It must all be clear. So if you do have any, pop them in there, because I'm going to give you a kind of 5-minute warning, and then I will let you get on with your evening. Everything clear what I've said, hopefully? Yep, okay. Alrighty. Couple of things. You may have seen Christmas decorations in the shop. Yeah? That's because Christmas is coming. Christmas is 3 weeks after the exam. The exam is getting close. Please don't sit on the fence and procrastinate. Get this exam out of the way. Get earning some real money. Get some respect of being a qualified accountant, even though you work really hard as a part qualified accountant, as soon as possible. Yeah, so important, so important. There's no, it's rubbish being a part qualified accountant. You've got to get out of that phase as quickly as possible. Okay. Also, as I've said on the mocks, you are crazy if you don't do mocks to time and don't get it marked. If you're doing a course, you really need to hassle your lecturers to mark it and give you comments, because that's how you're going to improve. Yeah, that's how you're going to improve. So please hustle, hassle, get proper comments on where you're doing well and where you need to improve. Yeah, it's very difficult to get that by reading an answer in a book, because SPL doesn't have one answer. It's probably easier on something like tax or financial accounting because there is one answer, but there are multiple answers on SPL, and that's where getting feedback is really, really useful and really, really confidence inducing. I've had a question from Ibrahim. Would I recommend taking SPL via remote or CBE? Ooh. Well, both work. Many of my students are successful taking both approaches. The people that aren't successful doing it by remote are people who do not do all of the checks right up until the exam. They might do the checks 3 months before, and then there's been a software update, and then they have problems with the remote exam. So I don't think it makes a difference. I think personally, if I had well, it depends on you. I think I'd like to blame someone else's technology rather than my own. Yeah, I would think, oh, if my internet goes down, it's my fault. So I think if it's not too inconvenient to do it in an exam center, I might do it in an exam center. But equally, it's designed to be remote, and it does work. It's just people don't do all the checks and they have problems. So thank you for that question. What would I advise debriefing an answer with ACCA? Well, I mean, you can see how I debrief answers. Go onto the ACCA website. I debrief lots and lots of questions on my course, but you can get a flavor of it if you go onto the ACCA website. Have a look at my YouTube channel. You'll get a flavor of that. There isn't one definitive right answer on SPL, and that's what people don't seem to understand. They look at an answer in a Kaplan or a BPP kit. It's a little bit one-dimensional. SPL is not one-dimensional. It's an applied and multi-dimensional question, and it's really useful if you can get some feedback on it. Okay. Oh, all the questions are coming just after I set the deadline. Let me have a look. Do I provide the same style study kits like Kaplan if we buy your course? Or in this case, where do we buy your course for additional support? If I'm very honest with you, I used to provide a Kaplan text and a Kaplan study kit. I'm still deciding on the study kit. I don't provide a Kaplan text anymore because I think a much more up-to-date version can be had from the ACCA study platform. I think that is excellent. So that's free. So I would probably prefer that. There's nothing wrong with Kaplan. Kaplan's official material and it's great, but it's not a kind of a technical exam. And also the problem with the answers in the Kaplan kits is they are just ACCA answers. They've just taken previous ACCA answers and republished them. They don't really give expectations of answers. They don't really give alternative answers. And because of that, I'm considering writing all my own. I do anyway, and I just give the Kaplan kit. But I think the SPL is better understood if you can be given confidence to see we can go that way, you can go that way, or you can go that way. Yeah. So that's, I've always given it in the past, but I'm kind of failing to see the value added compared to my realistic answers, my debrief videos, which show multiple ways of answering a question. But if you really, so my advice would be, if you have a choice, that's what I'd use. If you don't have the choice of someone giving you feedback like I give, well, maybe look at a Kaplan or a BPP kit. They are the official material. Please don't look at anyone else's material though, because they're not official. And if there are people offering courses, check them out on the ACCA. Are they platinum approved status? I think there's only about 7 platinum approved people. I create a course which is platinum approved by the ACCA. BPP does one, Kaplan does one, First Intuition does one, but there are lots of people that don't. Yeah. Why go to one that's not? Would be my. So if you're thinking, Naeem, about is it a professional support, additional support, my course? No, my course starts with the assumption you know nothing, and it builds it up with videos, with some notes and mind maps. I try to create mind maps because visual things help you see the big picture and understand it. Yeah, so that's how I do it, and it works. So it's not additional information; it's integral to passing the exam. Okay. Wait a minute. What is that? One more question? Yes, that's no problem. Yep, you can do that. No problem at all. You can do that for me. Okay. Alrighty. I then going to just leave you with contact details. The best way to contact me is how all my students contact me, and that's via WhatsApp. I'm looking at that all the time, so that will be the quickest way in which you will get some response from me. I would suggest, if follow me on LinkedIn. Anything relevant to the SPL exam, I will be posting regularly on LinkedIn. Click my bell so you get to see all my posts. Look at my YouTube channel. I put stuff up there for free as well. So they would be the main sources of information. But think about, do you want to get this exam out of the way as soon as possible, or do you want to think about it for months on end and earn the same money for potentially years on end? I want you to get it out of the way as soon as possible. I want you to start to enjoy your life exam free, and I want you to be earning decent cash that you deserve as a qualified accountant. Yeah, that's what I want for you. You have to decide, do you want that for yourself? I hope it's been useful. You've got my contacts. Any questions, WhatsApp me and I'll try and answer them. Okay, all the very best, and thank you for listening. I hope it's been some help. lots more stuff on YouTube. And also, if you like podcasts, I've created a lot of podcasts in the context of SBL. Alrighty, thank you very much. There is a recording. A few of you joined late. There is a recording. I will post the recording on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. So just maybe give it a day or so because it takes a while to render. Okay, thank you very much.